left shoulder. She only played in the first half in their win over Missouri on Thursday, but is cleared and good to go for this one against South Carolina. For Oklahoma, it's not just facing the #2 team in the nation. It's playing in this environment in front of 18,000. Here's Tahina Paopao. 1-2 step up off the window, and South Carolina scores first. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Toyota. Peyton Verhulst is coming off a career-high 38 points as Reagan Beers takes the three from the top of the key.
And for Oklahoma, actually for both these teams, shot selection is key because both these teams want to get out and run in transition.
Yeah, Oklahoma 7th in the nation when it comes to pace of play. Not afraid to run. They want to go fast, but South Carolina's okay with that.
I mean, Dawn Staley told us today, we're going to do what we do. She believes in her depth. She especially believes in her post depth in the matchup against Reagan Beers.
Paopao takes the shot as the shot clock winding down. It's off, and Nevaeh Tot will push the ball for the Sooners. Back out to Skylar Vann, the co-Big 12 Player of the Year last year.
And it really speaks to the depth of Oklahoma that Vann is the 4th leading scorer for this Oklahoma ball club this year.
So Hera Williams trying to put it back up and in, can't finish. Paopao scoping the floor. She finds Chloe Kitts, who gets rejected by Beers.
One thing Jenny Baranczyk kept talking about in shoot-around today, our pace in the half-court offense needs to be better. She wants to force South Carolina to chase them in the half-court.
What are we talking, ball movement there?
Ball movement and pace of cuts, because a good cut can open up a teammate as well.
Raven Johnson from the free throw line, but Oklahoma working in transition, Skylar Vann.
I think the ability to get to the outlet pass, meaning usually it's point guards, and get some pressure will be key to both teams' defensive transition today to try to slow down these offenses.
Here's Bree Hall. Swing it into the corner to Paopao. Sanaya Fagan inside. 7 seconds on the shot clock for the Gamecocks. She's going up against Reagan Beers. Stripped by Vann. To let the defense go by.
If you're an Oklahoma fan, you are ecstatic with the start of Skylar Vann. Had been struggling in offensive execution lately. Head coach Jenny Baranczyk said, we have to get more from Vann. Great start for Oklahoma.
Because of Oklahoma's pace, they're not afraid to mass sub. Already 3 subs waiting at the table right now for the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, Dawn Staley's name in the headlines this week as she becomes the highest paid coach in the history of women's basketball this week. A new deal valuing over $25 million. And Jenny Baranczyk in her 4th season with Oklahoma, she has taken them to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. And this is a team, offensively, they're 4th in the nation in scoring.
They shoot a high percentage. They know how to score the ball. The Achilles heel this season has been the turnovers. First possession of the game, turnover, but they shoot a high percentage. They know how to score the ball. The Achilles heel this season has been the turnovers. First possession of the game, turnover, but they seem to have settled in offensively.
Skylar Vann will take that. They want her to shoot the basketball.
Well, Oklahoma's going to spread you out, and so it gives them offensive board opportunities.
Tahina Paopao with the interception. Here's Raven Johnson guarded by Verhulst. Paopao led the nation in 3-point percentage last season. Raina Scott forcing it up ahead to Liz Scott. Can't finish around Chloe Kitts. Inside to Sanaya Fagan, just short. Got her own rebound, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Well, there's a reason South Carolina consistently wins. They can beat you from the inside, and when you cheat in off of any kind of dribble penetration, you've got shooters like Pow Pow who create space. Great find by Raven Johnson for the senior.
I mean, game planning for South Carolina has got to be tough because of the balance. I mean, everyone is a scoring threat, inside and out, like you said.
And they can beat you in a variety of ways. It's not just the personnel. They can beat you inside. They can beat you from three. They can beat you on the glass, and they can beat you with their defense.
It's so interesting, the makeup of this team, because there's not a superstar on the team. Nobody's probably getting any postseason awards individually because they're such a deep team. That's how they have success.
Well, we saw it was the freshman, Edwards, who led him in scoring against Alabama. It's been Pow Pow a number of times. It's been Full Wiley a number of times in SEC play. You've got to be so mature and disciplined defensively because you have to do your job and not just pay attention to one player.
Yeah, for reference, two of their top three scorers come off the bench. Mylasia Full Wiley and Joyce Edwards.
And Tessa Johnson, if you just count SEC play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get your bearings, you're doing well, and then the bench comes in.
A bench that averages 42 points per game, first in the nation.
And Oklahoma switching up the defense. It's just trying to prevent South Carolina from getting any kind of groove.
Well, Wiley just took it back. Bree Hall corralling it, and South Carolina gets the bucket. So we're going to see who this foul was on.
If my lip reading is correct, the shot clock never restarted.
Okay.
And so I thought she said Oklahoma ball side out of bounds. I don't think there's a foul going to be called.
Okay, yeah, because the shot clock didn't start, so they got to start over.
It helps to be a middle child. You learn to read the lips of your brothers.
Yeah.
And this is where Oklahoma's really good. When they get the ball at that high post area and cut off of that.
Well, Peyton Verhulst saved the traveling call. Raina Scott resetting. Breachers call it and rejected by a guard, Raven Johnson.
Well, Courtney, South Carolina averages 6 blocks a game. Yes, their bigs can rim protect, but their guards do as well. This time, Raven Johnson saying, no way in my house.
Sports life. Dawn Staley would be considered a trailblazer on the basketball court, and this season, a historic new deal. She is the highest paid women's basketball coach in the history of the sport. An annual base salary of $4 million a year now, a total value of $25.25 million. She was extended through the 2029-30 season. It's incredible what she has done at South Carolina, but also what she is doing for the sport in general, not just for her own team.
Well, leaders think of others, and that's what Dawn Staley has become for the game of women's basketball at all levels. She is about growing our game, and she is selfless in that nature. And what's really remarkable is when you hear the other SEC coaches, the other coaches around the country rave about what Dawn is doing for our game. Every penny has been well earned by Dawn Staley. And in so many ways, she's put South Carolina on the map, but she's helping to put the game of women's basketball on the map to stay.
Now, she's helped bring 3 national titles to South Carolina. That last possession for the Gamecocks, Shinny Browncheck was upset because she said Raven Johnson stepped out of bounds before hitting that three-pointer. That shot missed by Mylasia Full Wiley.
Well, something to watch. We know Oklahoma wants to play with pace, but they seem sped up in the half court. They're playing fast, and they're playing with pace. Right now, I feel like Oklahoma's just playing too fast.
Do you think that's a concern specifically when it comes to turnovers for them?
Again, when you are trying to do more than what you need to do, mistakes happen. And that's some of the turnovers, because Oklahoma's turnovers this season, for the most part, have not been forced by the defense. They played Tennessee. They played Texas. 2 really good defensive teams. They've been unforced in the half court.
Miriam Dowda They want more offense out of her. Speaking of Oklahoma's turnovers, you look at SEC play, 24 turnovers per game. That is leading to 23 points for opponents. 31% of their opponents points are coming off of their own turnovers.
So you can look at that glass half full or half empty, because they're basically spotting opponents. 30% of their points are scoring. But it shows how well they've been shooting the ball. So far in this game, South Carolina doing a tremendous job in the half-court defense, holding Oklahoma to just 23% field goal shooting.
Miriam Dowda battling with Reagan Beers inside, and Dowda whistled for her first foul. Sahara Williams, the catch and shoot. Or was it a pass over to Skylar Vann? She's got some free throws on the way.
Oklahoma's getting shots. I talk about this every time I cover South Carolina. There's shot blocks and there's affecting shots. South Carolina affects shots, and I think that's why you're seeing Oklahoma miss some of these gimmies around the rim.
Vann misses the first. Thursday, you better get ready because it's LSU and South Carolina, 8 Eastern here in Colonial Life Arena. College game day will be here. It's 7 Eastern on ESPN is when game day will start. ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. LSU, one of 3 unbeatens remaining coming into today.
UCLA and Maryland being the other 2. ISO for Fagan to go one-on-one.
UCLA and Ohio State being the other 2.
Yes. USC knocked off Maryland. This is a set play called by South Carolina. The overload on the right side for Fagan just to isolate, go left. Great touch at the glass.
You know, you look at the bigs for South Carolina, and it's been, I think, 4 games now that Ashlyn Watkins has been unavailable. She tore her ACL against Mississippi State. She's out for the season. So what have you seen from that post-rotation about who's stepping up and filling that spot of Watkins?
I think it's the 2 bigs on the floor right now for South Carolina. It has been Edwards and Watkins. Don Staley knows she's got to get another post in that rotation, but Watkins is being so much more assertive on the offensive end. Now, I'm sorry, Edwards is being so much more assertive on the offensive end as well as Fagan.
Pretty take by Sanaya Fagan after Oklahoma got its first points from Reagan Beers last possession. This will stay with Oklahoma.
Sometimes your best defense against a player like who's scoring like Vann is just to go at her. Double team by Beers comes over, too little, too late. Fagan splits them, goes up and scores.
Last 3 games for Sanaya Fagan. This is since Ashlyn Watkins has been out with that injury. 12 points, 8 points, and 8 points, but solid stat lines all the way through. She gets the rebound there and is fouled by Nevaeh Tot. There's Watkins. She's still doing her prehab. Has not had her ACL surgery yet. Of course, that's coming. But just a player, too, that, I mean, even with her standing in the paint, it'll causes opponents to see ghosts, if you will. It makes you a little second guess going inside.
I had her earlier this season where she blocked a player's shot on the right block. The ball went across the other way. She went to the left block and blocked the next shot attempt. Just bam, bam, that quickly. That's how athletic she is. But this is the one thing we keep saying about South Carolina. They have depth. They have quality depth, and it is always next player up for this program.
Sahara Williams shooting through the double team. Rebound by Edwards.
Williams took that shot, was on the ground, and sprinted back to match up with Raven Johnson in transition D.
South Carolina has hit 5 of its last 7 shots. Full Wiley looking to cook. Over to Edwards. Oh, Joyce! Looking like a veteran. Tessa Johnson almost had a steal. Verhulst gets the shot off. I mean, play this again.
I'm speechless right now because this is a freshman. Faces up, and it's just measuring up to the defender. As soon as Colton goes high, she steps around, knows that she's got that space created. Just great touch off the move.
Joyce Edwards coming off a career-high 21 points in South Carolina's win over number 19 Alabama.
Well, and that last inbounds by Oklahoma, Edwards looked like a freshman, was resting slightly, and Colton just stepped in to get that high percentage look, just couldn't finish.
That foul was the first on Chloe Kitts. She's got the takeaway up to Raven. Malaysia didn't even need to touch the ground. Fly, Lay! South Carolina can take the last shot of the quarter. They've scored 6 in a row. Malaysia full Wiley, clock winding down. She's just gonna let it go. Drop Malaysia!
Oh, Malaysia for Wiley. She does it in transition. She does it in the half court. First, it is going to be off of a turnover yet again for Oklahoma. Getting out and running. Beautiful lead pass by Raven Johnson. And I just can't tell you enough how difficult that is to time the pass, time the catch, and time the make. Oh, yeah, and time a buzzer-beating three as well. All South Carolina here in the first. She was working on those shots today at shoot-around.
Yes, she was. Working on her logo 3 at the end of shoot-around. And typical South Carolina balance, she is now back on the bench. South Carolina now, the 12th time this season they have held an opponent to single digits in the quarter. It's the 7th time they've done it against a ranked opponent. What's got to change for Oklahoma?
Take care of the basketball. 15 points for South Carolina off of the 6 turnovers in that first quarter. South Carolina's too good to give them extra opportunities.
Raina Scott misses. Reagan Beers with the offensive rebound. She was 1 for 3 in the first 10 minutes. Lexi Keys cutting to the basket for the bucket.
And that's what I'd like to see more from Oklahoma. You've got to counter the high-pressure defense of South Carolina with some of those back doors, some of the hard cuts to the rim.
Inside to Edwards, guarded by Skylar Van. Same move. Let me step around you.
Here's what's impressive by that move. Lexi Keys came with a double. Great response by Oklahoma. But Lexi Keys came with a double. Edwards didn't rush. She baited her time there and then went when it was one-on-one to score.
Tessa Johnson hit that from the baseline, behind the basket.
Pretty sure she was working on those fancy shots too today. Nice help side by Raven Johnson.
And Reagan Beers having trouble scoring. I mean, who doesn't against South Carolina? You know, Dawn Staley told us they have faced some bigs, and she felt like they've done a good job. Lauren Betts' name came up when they faced her against UCLA. Oldacre at Texas.
Here's here's the bottom line. We know how good the SEC is this year, but Dawn Staley had already prepared her team for SEC play by the gauntlet. I know we're calling that this 5-game stretch, but by the gauntlet of non-conference games that they faced over and over, it is against ranked teams that she prepares her team for conference play. Already 6 wins versus ranked opponents.
Yeah, and that's the most by anyone in the nation. When you look at quad wins, South Carolina has 7, and quad ranking, it takes into account where the game was played. So that's something new in the women's game this year that the selection committee will be looking at.
Don't you think if a team comes into Colonial Life and wins, they should get 2 wins? It's just
I don't think South Carolina would agree with that. Raven Johnson in the corner, no. Offensive rebound for Edwards. Top of the key. I mean, 2 extra chances there for South Carolina. Kitts finishes. Lexi Keys by herself in transition.
Oklahoma trying to switch up their defenses, but not everyone's able to hear because it's so loud in here. Lexi Keys countlessly repeating the defense, still couldn't get 5 players on the same page.
Raina Scott with the fancy footwork to the hoop. So now Oklahoma's hit 4 of its last 5.
And credit them, they're doing it before South Carolina can get set up defensively.
Sooners pushing. Verhulst has not scored, coming off a career-high 38 points. We're talking about number 12 in Crimson. Inside to Beers, finishing through contact. 7-0 run, Oklahoma. Beers has 4 points, 3 rebounds.
Post-to-post screen there by South Carolina, and they're trying to go right at Beers.
You know, Joyce Edwards looking for the foul call, won't get it.
Well, Courtney, you mentioned the run Oklahoma's on. It's because they're having a short memory. Once the ball goes down for South Carolina, they're getting it out quick, and they're looking for lead passes in transition before South Carolina gets back and gets matched up in the half court.
And South Carolina hasn't scored since that Kitts bucket. Mylasia Fulwiley back on the floor.
So Oklahoma will do some 2-3 matchup zone on the out of bounds.
Everything's going in right now for Mylasia.
I don't know if there's a defense for Fulwiley right now.
Tot looking inside, can't go. Verhulst. Liz Scott here. And just through the arms of Bree Hall.
You've got a baseline out of bounds play. So you've got 5 players on defense right now paying attention, and it does not matter for Mylasia Fulwiley. She can create her shot whenever she wants to, and that was on full display that last possession.
I mean, we saw it when she was being recruited coming out of high school, lighting up social media with her crazy plays, and then in her very first game last year as a freshman in Paris, France, made a play that was all over SportsCenter and every social media outlet.
Well, this last defensive stand by Mylasia won't show a block, but she altered that finish by Scott. It's the equivalent of a missed shot. South Carolina ball. She can do it all. I mean, I think the next phase for her is to become that lockdown defender that people just fear, because she's got all the tools to do that now.
It's been interesting, too, to watch how Dawn Staley handles her. Sometimes she'll let her play through it. Sometimes she's over on the bench sitting next to Dawn. Dowda, catch and shoot. Nevaeh Tot for 3. Rebound by Scott. Swiped by Breezy. Up ahead to Fagan, and she's fouled.
Well, Courtney, it's been all Malaysia full volley. 7 points in only 8 minutes of action. And it's not just the points. It is the wow moments that this young lady is creating for the game. Got to go back to the three-point shot. Just time, score, knows it, knocks it down. And then defense can be set. Doesn't matter. She will create her bucket.
For Oklahoma this season, specifically in the last few games, where 3 out of the last 4 games they've had over 20 turnovers.
And one thing Jenny Baranczyk said, because if you watch this offense, it's about flow, it's about feel. Well, she said the 2 Achilles heel to this offense, turnovers and fouls. It just cuts the flow, it cuts that chemistry and momentum for them, and you just can't get any positive momentum going when you're turning the ball over.
Already 8 turnovers for Oklahoma today. They average just over 19 turnovers a game. That's 316th in the nation. They rank 353 teams, just for the record.
Thanks for that clarification.
You're welcome.
And I mean, this is an offense of Oklahoma that is second in assists in the country, averaging 22 a game, and they shoot the ball extremely well, average 88 points. Why are they only 3-2 in the SEC? To your point, the turnovers.
Yeah. Back in 30 seconds, South Carolina up big at home. All right, we're just talking about Oklahoma in the rankings. I mean, look at these 2 resumes. Numbers even, field goal percentage, paint points, rebounds per game. Which team do you think is which?
Well, it's pretty interesting for this game.
Yeah. It's interesting because the stats kind of align. I mean, these 2 teams statistically have some strengths, but the turnovers holding Oklahoma back.
And this is a South Carolina program. If you remember 4 years ago, I remember Don Sale used to say to her team, throw it up there before we turn it over. And now it's a strength of their ball security, mainly because of point guard play that she has now.
I mean, the wingspan by Joyce Edwards on display.
But that was one thing Jenny Baranczyk talked about. She said, don't get me wrong. South Carolina is so good, but we have some similarities. Both head coaches want to run a system to where their players play freely. Both want to have a pace of play. And honestly, as much as we talk about the offense for Oklahoma, their defense has improved so much this year, a lot because of rim protection of Reagan Beers. But it is the turnovers that is the biggest difference in these 2 programs right now, and why South Carolina's sitting at 5-0 in the league, and Oklahoma's at 3-2.
Well, Oklahoma brings in 4 new players. Malaysia, finger roll, and a big smile on her face. Into Beers. And Reagan Beers now 6 points.
And that's when she's at her best. A high-low at a transition. She buried the defender, showed her numbers, easy pass, easy score.
The long 2 for Beers gets the bounce.
And that's one thing she's added and tried to improve on is her outside shooting since transferring to Oklahoma. But if I'm South Carolina, I'm okay with giving her the outside shot because that takes her off the offensive glass.
She's their leading scorer and rebounder. Full Wiley stepping into it, not afraid of any shot right now. For Wiley's got 9 to lead South Carolina.
And all of them have been just jaw-dropping. This time added transition. Beers is there to challenge, and Wiley knows she's going to be challenged, so she just extends the ball away and around the defender. And then again, some people can do that. Not many can do that with the touch to finish it off the glass like she just did.
She's subbed out now for South Carolina. Oh, Pow's by herself. Ooh, too much. It's going to stay with South Carolina. Landry Allen went after it for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm wondering, unless she thought her teammate deflected that shot.
Yeah.
So the matchup zone by Oklahoma on the baseline out of bounds. And then they switch back to man.
Now they wanted to change up their defensive looks. Seven seconds on the shot clock here for South Carolina. Fagan just had to step backwards, won't get the lucky bounce. That last break, we were talking a little bit about Oklahoma's spacing. What do you think about it right now?
It's when they have been able to execute an offense, they've had good spacing. And I'm sorry, when Reagan Beers has the seal, Oklahoma has to get her the ball down low.
Fagan rejects the shot, and the Gamecocks will take it.
Courtney, that's one thing Jenny Baranczyk has said, that they're still learning to play with Reagan Beers. They miss her a lot because this is the first time that Oklahoma's had a true low post player since Baranczyk's arrival in Norman. Beers had the seal early in that possession. Her teammates missed her, so then once she got it, Helpside was there to get that block.
In the preseason, in the non-conference, she wasn't able to practice a ton. So getting used to her while returning all 5 starters from last season and then having this setback with a shoulder injury a week ago today. Jenny told us, I've underestimated a little bit how long it's taken us to get used to playing with a big post presence.
And when you play an offense like Oklahoma does, you can't think. You just got to go. And so I think some of it is still the transition of, we got a great low post player. I need to get it into her versus, hey, I'm open and taking this outside shot.
Tessa Johnson steps into the mid-range game as South Carolina gets look after look. Offensive foul against Reagan Beers, her first.
So that's going to be another one of those unforced turnovers, but more importantly, that's going to be a foul on Reagan Beers, and this is a player that Oklahoma has to be able to sub as they want. Here's the key for Oklahoma. At home, Reagan Beers is averaging 18 points a game, averaging just under 2 fouls a game. On the road, her average drops to 12 points a game, and she's averaging almost 4 fouls a game.
Interesting. So just one foul. Jenny Baranczyk subs her out to save her for the last minute. Adele Tack just checked in for South Carolina.
So the 5th post player that Dawn Staley's brought into this game today.
Jump ball, possession arrow to the Gamecocks. And South...
Well, consistency of South Carolina on the glass, and there's fighting Sahara Williams. She's not going to back down, and you could just tell, just ripping the ball clear there.
Oh, wow. The vision to see Joyce underneath from Raven Johnson. Edwards has 9. Williams misses. Landry Allen with the rebound. Oklahoma can take the last shot of the half. South Carolina with its largest lead. Taken away by Bree Hall. Right down Main Street. South Carolina will take its largest lead of the day into the locker room, and Mylasia Fulwiley has already had a highlight reel full of plays today.
What Dawn Staley's saying, she wants more action between the wow moments. It was all wow moments in the first half.
Let's get you back to the studio. South Carolina up 49-24 at the half.
as my late before Wiley does.
On the other side, Oklahoma came in. We wanted to see how Reagan Beers fared against South Carolina. What did you see in the first 20 minutes?
Well, I saw her get a little fatigued there late in the second quarter because Dawn Staley just keeps throwing post at her, and they're running, and they're trying to isolate her at different times. What Oklahoma needs to do is when there's a low post seal, doesn't matter if it's Van, doesn't matter if it's Beers, they can't hesitate. They've got to see the pass before they make the pass.
Yeah, Reagan Beers calling for it. She gets it, number 52 in crimson, over to Sahara Williams. And South Carolina comes out with the basketball. Up ahead to Raven Johnson. The Gamecocks ended the half on a 6-0 run. Oklahoma hasn't scored in over 3 minutes.
They need to get something out of transition.
Down low to Skylar Van. Will go to the free throw line for 2.
And this is what we're used to seeing from Oklahoma. Transition, high-low action. It doesn't necessarily mean Beers down low. It could be Van. It could be Williams. Nice to see them come out of the half and execute.
Jenny Baranchak said numerous times this would be a good barometer for where are we at as a program. Of course, remember, first year in the SEC. So Oklahoma hasn't played South Carolina since 2009.
And you can't underestimate how difficult that is. Now that you've hit January, that since they played Texas, a foe in the Big 12, the next 4 weeks are against teams that you're not used to playing against. So that's a new scout every night for these players, for these coaches. That's a steep learning curve for this program. And including Oklahoma, one of the deepest conferences in the country this season.
Sanaya Fagan whistled for her first foul to put Sahara Williams at the free throw line. She was an All-Big 12 honorable mention last season, one of their starters. You know, we talked about Oklahoma's turnovers. On the other side, South Carolina only had 2 turnovers in the first half.
There's just so many ways that we can praise the first half performance for South Carolina. Obviously, they looked really good on offense, but I thought their defense was really stingy, holding Oklahoma lowest shooting percentage, holding them to their lowest points, and this is the 4th highest scoring offense in the country in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they average 88 a game. With the clock winding down, Tahina Pow goes bang. Reagan Beers turns around and knocks it down. That'll put her in double figures.
Fagan immediately looks at Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley says it's okay, because what Fagan's doing is playing team defense by backing off, preventing any of those cuts. Great read by Beers there just to elevate and knock it down.
Fagan, a little short corner action. South Carolina's shooting 47% from the field. They were shooting 50% at halftime. Same spot, back to back.
Almost the same spot for Fagan.
Just left it a little bit short. Pass inside to Beers.
And that, she didn't finish because of Raven Johnson's help side defense there. She comes over and just affects Beers' shot.
Pow up at the top of the key. 3 subs waiting for Oklahoma at the table. 6 seconds for Raven. Short rebound by Kitts. Over to Sanaya Fagan. Block to block. Top throws it away. Oh my. Little runner for Raven. South Carolina continuing the flow out of the locker room.
to get the offensive rebound. Then Reagan Beers has to rotate to defend her. Sanaya Fagan just feasts on the weak side.
It's a selfish team that knows how to share the basketball. You've heard us say it, and we'll say it again. The balance is dangerous for South Carolina.
Courtney, one thing I just really want to talk about is in this day and age where kids jump in a portal, where kids are looking for the highest dollar amount, what they have built here at South Carolina is really remarkable, that kids check their ego. Someone like Sanaya Fagan doesn't play much for 3 years and now is starring in her fourth year. You don't see players who believe in their head coach, believe in what they can be, and this is why I love this program. It's a throwback to what my generation was. You go to a school, you commit to a school, you commit to a coach, and you finish there. And it's paying off, obviously, in national championships, but it's also paying off in the fact that these young ladies are becoming pros. 12 former players playing in the WNBA. It's a great infomercial for what Dawn Staley's doing here.
Joyce Edwards wanted the foul, finished through the contact anyway. And the transition bucket for Skylar Vann. And Dawn has been asked several times, how do you get players to stay? And she said, I've been honest with them from the beginning. It's always an honest conversation.
I think that's one of the parts of Dawn Staley's leadership that really doesn't get enough credit. It's her communication ability, how direct she is with these young women.
I think a great example of that is Tahina Paopao, who transferred in from Oregon last year and decided to stay for another year because of how much she learned from Dawn Staley last season, wanted to do it again.
Well, and by doing it again, let's just talk about last year's leading three-point shooter in the country. You can't let her get her feet set or she's going to make you pay.
Yeah, South Carolina won the national championship last year. They went undefeated. Their last 4 seasons, 126 wins and 4 losses. That is a crazy record.
This is two-man action by Edwards and for Wiley. Unfortunately, she turns it over.
Raven got it back. South Carolina's got numbers and an open Breezy Hall. I mean, last season, South Carolina was the 10th team to go undefeated and win a national championship. It was their 7th 30-win season in the last 10 years as Peyton Verhulst hits her first points today.
Well, I asked Raven Johnson about that today. Obviously can't go undefeated because of their loss to UCLA, but I just said, hey, was that a good loss? And she goes, not a good loss, but good for us. Got us refocused, and I think we're a new team since then.
How do they look different since then?
I think they've gotten into defense a little bit more. I think individual players are playing better together. It's not easy to win. It's definitely not easy to win back-to-back. And there are new pieces with this season. You don't have the rim protection of Camila Cardozo, so that's new in terms of the defense for South Carolina.
Foul on Beatrice Culleton. Well, South Carolina has loved playing in this building. They have won 67 straight games at home, 52 straight against SEC opponents, trying to extend that today. Game where we continue Pat Summitt's fight against Alzheimer's disease, and you see Pat's resume incredible. There's a statue on Tennessee's campus of Pat Summitt for a very good reason. 8 national titles, over 1,000 wins, and the Pat Summitt Foundation this year was able to launch, well, it's been less than a year now, Pat's Game Plan, a guide for Alzheimer's and dementia caregivers. So Pat not just fighting against the disease, but helping those caregivers, caring for those that have this.
Always the leader was Pat Summitt. Thought of others before herself, even during the hardest time of her life. And her legacy is obviously her student athletes, her championships, but just as importantly, the Pat Summitt Foundation.
Yeah, the Pat Summitt Foundation, not just helping people in the state of Tennessee, it expands nationwide. And the Pat's Game Plan, it's free for anyone. You can go online and get that for caregivers. A great resource that I know the Pat Summitt Foundation is extremely proud of. We see South Carolina with their We Back Pat shirts on, too. Oklahoma had special We Back Pat shirts for their warm-ups today.
I think that's at least the 5th turnover for Oklahoma, just trying to make that post pass. Not just to the bigs, but also to guards when they've had a seal and just not able to deliver it where it needs to go.
24 points off of those turnovers for South Carolina.
So you're seeing a matchup zone now by Oklahoma.
Great Hall just crushed a three. 7 3-pointers today for South Carolina.
And there's something to be said just about how calm South Carolina is. Changing defenses does not affect them because they prep for it, but they're just selfless. They just keep moving the ball.
Beatrice Colton and Bree Hall both went for the basketball, and Bree Hall with a smile on her face now, but did a flip going for the basketball.
Again, these are two competitive teams, and little arm entanglement there. Great job by the officials to get in there quick. Honestly, I think a little bit of that was just the momentum of Bree Hall getting into that jump ball.
I didn't see anything extra there. They just called it a jump ball, possession arrow pointing to the Gamecocks.
Joyce Edwards, the point guard now for South Carolina.
You know,
just bring it
fine.
on.
Whatever you need, Coach.
South Carolina, and I love it when they get in the two-man action with Edwards and Fulwiley, because you just don't know what's going to be created between the two of them.
They used to play against each other in high school. In fact, faced off in a state championship game, and Malaysia put up 41 points on Joyce's team. Joyce has not forgotten that. Transition three for Tessa Johnson. Gets whistled for the foul. You could hear Colonial Life Arena starting to get loud. A sold-out crowd for a South Carolina program that has led the nation in attendance the last 10 seasons.
Bottom line, when you come into this arena, this team just plays better. I know everybody plays better at home, but I almost feel like it's a 15-point advantage minimum when they come into this arena because of this fan base. It's an educated fan base. It is a loud fan base.
Now they'll line up over 2 hours before game time to get in the door. They're going to have to line up early on Thursday because College Game Day is coming to town for the battle with LSU.
So, Courtney, that's an example. Beers is working so hard. She's telling the guards where to send the ball. Instead, ball's caught in the corner, held on, and then trying to get it in. That ball has to be sent in so much sooner.
Still trying to perfect and get comfortable with having that post presence for the first time under Ginny Baranchak at Oklahoma.
Up and in, they got her net. Again, too much delayed there.
They had a couple of chances to get her the basketball. Fulwiley go up and block that?
Yes.
Joyce Edwards, other end, the pass from Tessa. Largest lead for South Carolina at 39.
Well, we've talked about Malaysia Fulwiley's offense. Let's talk about the defense. Gets beat, does not give up on the play, gets the block, and then what does South Carolina get out and do? They're running. Great lead pass by Tessa Johnson to find Joyce Edwards.
Reagan Beers will shoot two after she was fouled by Tahina Paopao. Well, women's basketball takes over the SEC Network every Thursday this week. Georgia Amore and number 12 Kentucky against Texas A&M. Christy will be on the call for that one at 7. And in Madison Booker, the battle of the UTs, Texas and Tennessee. That'll take place in Austin.
Well, if you like defense, tune into that Texas-Tennessee game.
Yes. Checking into the game now for South Carolina. You see number 1 in the white jersey. That's Maddie McDaniel. a freshman, number 14 overall recruit. She's been coming back from a concussion, but was playing really well before that.
Remarkable as a point guard, as a freshman point guard, to have the assist to turnover ratio that she does. As a coach, I was always thrilled as a freshman at a 1-to-1. This young lady has a 5.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. She just doesn't make bad mistakes.
She hasn't had more than 2 turnovers in a game. Reagan Beers is getting looked at by the training staff for Oklahoma in the tunnel right now. It was a week ago today that she had a left shoulder injury, was only able to play 10 minutes on Thursday in their win over Missouri, and that was all in the first half.
Well, there was a possession about 2 times ago where you could just tell she got popped really good in that shoulder. Just hope she's okay.
Their leading scorer and rebounder. Van wide open. Sunk it.
Oklahoma has to be pleased with Skylar Van's aggressiveness on the offensive end here. I know the scoreboard doesn't reflect a lot, but this young lady's almost had a mind shift tonight. She has been aggressive. She's hunted her shots.
There's going to be an offensive foul. On South Carolina, and here comes Beers back to the bench.
I mean, Courtney, for the future of South Carolina, right now you have a junior in Dowda in her first year at South Carolina. You have 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And there's no let up.
Wow.
They just continue to reload year after year.
Miriam Dowda is at the free throw line. We got to talk to her today at shoot around, transferred in from Arkansas, and it's been such a different stop for her at South Carolina. She said her confidence is growing. Also, her defense has taken some big steps.
Which I was shocked, because I remember a game last year, I think she had like 8 blocks against Alabama. I mean, there's rim protection, and they're just telling people, don't even come near me.
I would also say, too, Arkansas' style of play doesn't usually favor defense. Like, it's not a huge emphasis. Lots of playing fast, going to shoot the basketball.
Well, and really being a true low post was not part of her repertoire a year ago. So she's learning a new skill set. And what I really loved is that you can tell she's eager to embrace all of this learning.
2 seconds, Oklahoma's got to get a shot up. And it's going to be a shot clock violation. South Carolina will have 6.4 seconds to take the last shot of the quarter. They have put up 30 points here in the third quarter, compared to just 16 from Oklahoma.
I'm kind of surprised Malaysia's not getting the ball here to go one-on-one.
Is that like selfish? Did you just want to see if she'll drop another logo 3?
Fan.
Oh, she's waiting, thought about it. 10 minutes to go as South Carolina tries to extend its 67 home game win streak. Bulls picked up their first Super Bowl win. Was awake after that. That was pretty amazing.
It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, what do you say?
She is a sports fan.
Super fan.
Through and through.
If you were watching NFL Countdown, you saw that Dawn picked the Eagles to win by 2 touchdowns. So
see, this is where I think everyone assumed she was talking about the Eagles. Right now, it could be this score.
Yeah, it could be. South Carolina has dominated Oklahoma, who is the number 13 team in the nation. They have led by as many as 40 points today.
But what I will say about them is I like how Oklahoma has come out of that break. 2 touches for Beers, 2 buckets for Beers. Good passes leading her to score.
Wide open Tessa. Offensive rebound, Raven. 17 second chance points for South Carolina.
And Raven Johnson, known as a playmaker, known as a great on-ball defender, but she's averaging over 1 offensive rebound a game. That is the point guard for the Gamecocks doing that.
Reagan Beers lets the three-pointer fly. That's her 5th three-pointer this season.
And I don't know what Jenny Baranczyk and her staff said to Reagan Beers at the break, but has responded with 7 quick points.
Yeah, she's got 20 points today. It's the 6th time this season that she's had 20 or more points in a game, and that's her season high in SEC play. And short on the long, too.
Well, Courtney, I mentioned how impressed I have been to start this 4th quarter for Reagan Beers. You see her, post player defensively, got her on the high side. And so the ball gets moved to the top. No way for help side to get there in time. And then you just see the pure strength of Reagan Beers to rip it through. And so next time, Fagan plays off. Beers says, I got you.
3 ball. It's good to see her back in the game. She was being attended to by the training staff in the tunnel.
You know, I will take that turnover for Oklahoma. 1, it's a dead ball turnover, allows them to get set. But 2, it's because Beers is working and her team's trying to get her the ball inside.
Dowda stepping through the double team. You know, since Ashlyn Watkins has been out, South Carolina has been looking for either Adele Tack, Miriam Dowda, or Sakima Walker to step up and be that extra post presence that they need. For Miriam Dowda, who's on the floor right now, number 30 in white, it's the offensive piece. They know she has it, just hasn't shown up yet in that South Carolina uniform.
I mean, it was remarkable to hear the confidence that Dawn Staley has in Miriam Dowda.
Okay.
And I got confidence in Reagan Beers right now.
23 points.
Feeding the hot hand.
3 for 3. Just trading the long ball.
You were saying?
For 3. Lexi Keys.
Well, for Oklahoma, they average almost 9 made threes a game. Until this 4th quarter started, they were only at 3, so nice to see them get going.
Oklahoma's actually outscored South Carolina 13-10 here in the 4th quarter. Sooners only scored 9 points in the 1st quarter. They were outscored 28-9 to start the game.
Over to the wing and then in. That pass has got to get delivered quicker. Well, we like scoring, and I like the threes. Reagan Beers gets it started from deep for Oklahoma. And then, of course, Tessa Johnson, the sharpshooter for South Carolina, says, I got it. Look at Pow Pow just celebrating on the baseline. Lexi Keys loves that corner 3 out of transition. A little momentum going now for Oklahoma. Can they build on this?
Oklahoma 5 for 5 in this quarter from the field. Inside to Kitts. Got the bucket. Gonna get a free throw too.
Well, Chloe Kitts just has a little step up when the ball comes high, gets the defender on her backside, and this is the length and the improvement of Chloe Kitts. With that new strength, she can score through contact.
It's been a focus for her, getting in the weight room, eating more so that she can battle inside. She said she would watch film of herself last year, and she was just always falling down on the floor. Can handle the physicality now. In and out. Kitts with the rebound.
Nice job by Scott to stop or slow the transition of South Carolina.
Ooh, in and out for Raven. South Carolina's hit 10 threes today. That's going to be a foul against Kitts. Australian Open coverage continues tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN+, continues on ESPN2. At 8:30 Eastern, every match throughout the tournament is available on ESPN+.
Courtney, I like Reagan Scott's game, especially for this Oklahoma offensive system. She just gets busted out of the cannon, it seems, when they get a defensive rebound, because she pushes tempo.
Yeah, a key weapon for them off the bench.
Jenny Baranczyk has basically 3 point guards that she can cycle through. You got Todd, you got Scott, and you got Zaya Van as well.
Todd, Scott, and Van. Just sounds like a law group or something.
I feel like you're looking for another NIL deal for some student athletes.
Always. Joyce Edwards, I feel like you just can't speed her up. She knows what she wants.
She may know it, but she gets it.
Yes.
She's patient, she's skilled, she's strong. Joyce Edwards gets the ball anywhere near the paint. She puts pressure on the defense because she's calculated, she reads it, she scores it.
Here in Columbia, South Carolina, the #2 team in the nation has looked pretty good in a ranked battle with Oklahoma. South Carolina is led by as many as 42 points today. They've got 5 players in double figures.
Well, a lot's been made about the gauntlet of this stretch for South Carolina, 5 straight ranked opponents. And all they've done is beat #5 Texas 67-50, Alabama 76-58, Oklahoma well in control now, and then obviously a big one coming up on Thursday with LSU.
Yeah, LSU coming to town on Thursday. 3 seconds here for the Sooners, and Williams leaves it short. It'll be a shot clock violation. But LSU South Carolina, that has grown into a rivalry over the last few seasons. Going to be interesting to see. LSU got a win over Florida today. Anissa Morrow is their big player inside. She had another double-double, leads the nation in that category, 20 points and 10 rebounds today.
You've got coaching star power. You've got player star power. You've got great offenses. You've got 2 defensive-minded coaches, 2 coaches who believe in rebounding the ball. It's going to be interesting. I'm eager to see LSU's start to the game. Their recent games, they have struggled to get off to good starts, including today at Florida. South Carolina has fixed their slow start issue.
We've been talking about it Thursday. It's LSU, South Carolina. That's at 8 Eastern. Now, the College Game Day crew is going to be here at Colonial Life Arena. That starts at 7 on ESPN, ESPN+, and Disney+. LSU, one of the 3 unbeatens. I know the game's going to be good, but I think everybody also is wondering, what are the fits going to be like for the two head coaches?
We have always talked about how we would love to get into Kim Mulkey's closet. I'm sorry. I want to see Dawn Staley's closet.
Yes. Well, Holly Rowe got to go in Kim Mulkey's closet a couple years ago when they won the national championship. So I think Dawn is next. Both have great style. Your SEC standings right now, South Carolina, LSU, Kentucky up at the top of the standings, undefeated in conference play.
Kentucky is going to have a February to remember in terms of they're then going to go through their gauntlet. Only 2 teams will they face off against that aren't ranked in February as of this point. But you know what? The more things change, the more they stay the same. It still looks like a collision course right now between South Carolina and LSU.
What about Texas?
Again, there will be a rematch in Austin in February between South Carolina, but just the way South Carolina's handling their business right now, I'll be really eager to see the adjustments Texas makes from last week's loss.
Have you seen a weakness for South Carolina?
You know, they don't finish consistently at the rim this season, the way we've seen them in the past. It can get better, obviously. I think, and we've seen this today, much better job of taking care of the ball because 37 turnovers in the previous 2 games coming into today. Have done a great job of only 4 turnovers today, and sometimes it's just been players being too unselfish. Like at times, I've wanted Mylasia Fulwiley to take over games because she's been looking to set her teammates up too much. We just jinxed them with a 5th.
Yeah. Still, 5 turnovers is pretty good. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Always a teammate.
I got you. South Carolina came out the gate, scored 28 points in the first 10 minutes and only gave up 9 points, and they have not let go of control since then. Fulwiley keeps on coming full steam. She's up to 15 points.
Van's got the mismatch down low. Oklahoma cannot get it to her.
Just overthrew it. Another look at the Fulwiley bucket on the other end.
Well, which one? Oh, yeah. The most recent.
Oh, that one.
Again, South Carolina is so good when they get out in transition. The little in-out, it just makes the defender freeze for a second, and she just gets by her.
Joyce Edwards is leading South Carolina today with 17 points. Fulwiley is second with 15, and they both come off the bench.
Well, here's the other thing. South Carolina goes to the bench. Now they have 2 6'5" players on the floor.
Sakima Walker.
Great box out there by Johnson.
Fulwiley poked at it. Allen off the mark on the 3. They're trying to get the ball inside to Adele Tack.
I like the growth of Landry Allen for Oklahoma the last couple of games. Had not played many minutes. Last 3 games now, doubling her scoring average and just making winning plays for this ball club.
Aubrey Jones hits. South Carolina just dropped 100 points on the 13th ranked team in the nation.
Courtney, do you think the bench was celebrating the 100 points or Adele Tech? Because this is
Adele,
a
for sure.
picture of chemistry and culture for South Carolina.
South Carolina's played 12 players, and 10 of them have scored. Short. Now South Carolina can just get it across half court and hang on to the basketball. Led by as many as 43 points. They will pick up their first ever win against Oklahoma. And that home win streak feels pretty good to be at home for the Gamecocks. 68 straight home wins. That is now tied for 8th in NCAA history.
Well, Jenny Moronchek said this will be a measuring stick for my team. I liked how they battled in the fourth quarter. They can only learn from this and get better. I saw improvement in the fourth, but the gold standard in the SEC until someone else proves us wrong is South Carolina. A dominant performance on both ends of the floor today.